Well, good morning, everybody. And let me say a couple of notes of appreciation. First of all, to the Prime Minister of Pakistan and to Field Marshal Munir, who were both incredible hosts. And whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis, who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms. Questions?
Sir, Nick Robertson from CNN. Precisely what have they rejected here? Can you help us understand it a little bit?
Well, I won't go into all the details because I don't want to negotiate in public after we negotiated for 21 hours in private. But the simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon, and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to achieve through these negotiations. Again, their nuclear program, such as it is, the enrichment facilities that they had before, they've been destroyed. But the simple question is, do we see a fundamental commitment of will for the Iranians not to develop a nuclear weapon, not just now, not just 2 years from now, but for the long term? We haven't seen that yet. We hope that we will. Jen.
Was there a framework on anything? And also, did the Iranian frozen assets come up? And did you reach any conclusions on those frozen assets?
We talked about all those issues, Jen, and we talked about a number of issues beyond that. And so certainly those things came up. But again, we just could not get to a situation where the Iranians were willing to accept our terms. I think that we were quite flexible. We were quite accommodating. The president told us, you need to come here in good faith and make your best effort to get a deal. We did that. And unfortunately, we weren't able to make any headway. Preston.
Mr. Vice President, how often did you communicate with President Trump throughout the negotiations? There were reports that there were multiple rounds, where there were breaks in between negotiations. How often did you communicate with the president throughout those rounds, and what was he saying as you were going through these negotiations that you said fell short?
Yeah, obviously we were talking to the president consistently. I don't know how many times we talked to him, a half dozen times, a dozen times over the past 21 hours. We obviously also talked to Admiral Cooper, to Pete, to Marco, to the entire national security team. We talked to Scott Bessent a number of times. So look, we were constantly in communication with the team because we were negotiating in good faith. And we leave here with a very simple proposal, a method of understanding that is our final and best offer. We'll see if the Iranians accept it. Thank you.
Mr. Vice President, where does this leave the straight?
Kahalayim la Yahweh ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai Waha Ruha Kodash. All praises and glory go to you, Lord. Double honors and respect go to our apostles, bishops, elders, and teachers, the men of Great Millstone, to USA Shalom. Salutations to the hopeful elect, it's your brother Amraya. And as you can see from the video, they were unable to come to a deal, all right? This negotiation between J.D. Vance for America, Babylon the Great with Iran, the Persians, they were unable to come to a deal, all right? And if you watch the video, I slowed down a certain part where this devil begins to puff, all right, about not even being able to make a deal in a position where these devils hold no cards, have no understanding of the impending doom that is about to befall them. And this devil is puffing at his enemies, all right? Nothing ever changes with Esau Edom. Nothing ever changes about the so-called self-proclaimed white man, all right? I'll say this. They're going to go out on their sword, all right, that blessing. This is Psalms chapter 10, verse 2. It says, the wicked, and this is pertaining to Job 9 and 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked, is what it states in Job 9 and 24. The wicked is Esau, Edom, the so-called self-proclaimed white man that rules in the world today. All right. Verse 2, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. All right. The nation of Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, North American Indians, confusion of faces, and others as well. They persecute. This is what they have done. It says, let them be taken in the devices they have imagined, right? And they imagine some wickedness throughout the earth, all right, on all of the people of the earth, all right? Georgia Guidestones mapped out just how wicked their thought processes are, all right? Want to bring humanity down to less, 500 million? All right? So they have imagined devices, they have invented weapons and all manner of things to persecute you. Verse 3, for the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire and blesseth the covetous, whom Yahweh abhorreth. The wicked through the pride of his continent will not seek after Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. And Yahweh is not in all his thoughts. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight, right? Meaning above his understanding, all right? This devil is not as wise as you think. And really, the Lord has been stripping their wisdom for some time already. His wisdom no more in Timah, all right? Seems to be the theme of a lot of videos lately. But this devil has lost his wisdom, all right? So the Lord's judgments are far above out of his sight. He doesn't see that he's in the sights of the Lord. All right. The Lord got him pinned down. So he's moving forward with this agenda that is going to gather them in the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, the Lord's judgment, where they're going to be judged. All right. Where he is going to plead with them. And how shall the Lord plead with all flesh? By fire and by sword. All right. Verse 6, he have said in his heart, Salakia, continue reading verse 5. His ways are always grievous, thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them, right? And you heard him. This is a far worse for not coming to a deal for Iran than it is for America. Yeah, they have no understanding. The Lord has them in the trick bag. All right. Verse 6, he have said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. That's why they say things like, it's worse for you than for me. Puffing, all right? Because he thinks nothing bad is going to befall him, all right? But the Lord has them in the trick bag, as we state already. Prophecy is moving forward. There's not much left. You have the hour of temptation. Jacob's trouble needs to kick off full effect. All right, the MOT to the B, where they implement the micro CHIP, make it mandatory. Go to digital currencies. All right, tie all of your information, your personal, financial, criminal, all information to a biometric microchip. All right. I wanted to get this real quick in the NLT. This is the Blue Letter Bible, Psalms chapter 10, verse 2 in the NLT. The wicked arrogantly hunt down the poor. Let them be caught in the evil they plan for others. Right. For they brag about their evil desires. They praise the greedy and curse Yahweh. The wicked are too proud to seek Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. They seem to think that Yahweh is dead, right? Yet they succeed in everything they do. They do not see your punishment awaiting them, right? They sneer at all their enemies. They think nothing bad will ever happen to us. We will be free of trouble forever. Their mouths are full of cursing, lies, and threats. Trouble and evil are on the tips of their tongues. Right. All right. They have no clue what is coming for them because they've been on high for so long and built up to such a high estate that they feel untouchable. And therefore, this saga doesn't end, and nor is it the will of the Lord that it should end. This is going to continue until a whole lot of bodies pile up in the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. Let's keep our eyes on this as it moves forward. Until the next one, Shalom.